Hey, my friend, welcome to the Art of Online Business podcast. My name is Rick Mulready, and I'm an online business coach. I'm an ads expert, and most importantly, I'm a dad. And this show is where we help established online course creators and coaches create more profit, more impact with less hustle. All right, let's get into it. What's up, my friends? Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you're listening to this when this episode comes out on December 31st, 2021, Happy New Year, my friends. If you're listening to this in like July, hope you're having an amazing summer. But anyway, Happy New Year. We've made it to the end of 2021. If you heard my last episode, I talked about how my business, we increased revenue by 30% and increased profit by 25% in 2021. And I broke down what worked, what didn't work, and then plans for 2022. Now, in this episode, I wanted to share with you a whole bunch of thoughts, 14 thoughts on what's ahead for 2022. Now, I'm not one to make predictions. As we know, things can change super quickly, right? Things can change overnight, as we've seen in the past 2 years. And so I want to share with you some of the thoughts that I've been having about what we are going to be looking at in our business in the new year, and also what we're coaching our Accelerator coaching members on in the new year. I'm going to give you 14 things, but the goal here is not to have you choose all 14 things and incorporate them into your business. Choose a couple to a few and start with those, right? And these are things that I really think are things that you need to be thinking about as we get into 2022 and throughout the year, and really just keeping an eye on, especially some things, right? And not only are these things going to help you grow and scale your business, your online business, but also will really help you set yourself apart from all the other people, all the other noise, if you will, online. So the first thing is AI, artificial intelligence. Everyone's talking about AI, right? And it is absolutely the future with marketing and more. But let's be honest, right? As it stands here, as we enter into 2022, solutions that are really accessible to people like you and me, like, us course creators and coaches, things are still very much in the early stage, right? Now, in this case, when it comes to AI, I'm not talking in terms of like the Facebook algorithm, right? Which is definitely AI, but rather I'm talking about more like automated machine learning smart tools that can help us solve a problem more quickly. Now, there are tools coming out that actually, when I'm recording this in early December, I'm about to start playing around with it, and I have no affiliate or partnership, whatever, with these guys, but like something like Jarvis .ai for marketing copywriting, where you put a little bit of text in there and they can do, ad copy, blog posts, email writing, like all automated. And again, so this is a version of AI I think we're going to see a lot more of going forward. But we're still in the early stages of this. And I really, probably towards the end of 22, we'll be keeping an eye on more tools like this. But you hear all the buzz about AR, and, you read all the publications, they're talking about, how this is all going to change the game when it comes to marketing and stuff like that. Now, again, we have to, yes, that is the case. It's absolutely going to be a huge part, but it's not something I think that is super realistic for many of us, common, if you will, course creators and coaches at this point. Yeah, there's going to be some tools. There already are some tools, but I think it's absolutely something that we can start playing around with, what we do have, available to us now, but just keeping an eye on. And I'll be talking more on the show here as things, come up, but it's really, I think, very early in the stages of AR and AI. So That's the first thing, right? Definitely be keeping an eye on it, and see if tools come up, can it help your business? If it, without too much, adding a whole bunch of operational mess to the business. If it makes your business easier, more simple, that can solve a problem as I snap my fingers more quickly, cool, test it out. But just keep an eye on it, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing, and this is no surprise because we've been talking about it, all year in 2021 as something that where things are heading. And we've obviously seen the success of TikTok, right? TikTok has, at time recording this, 1 billion monthly users. And that's short form video. Leveraging short form video in your business is only going to become more important. So yeah, TikTok, Reels, obviously, like, as so many of, I can't even say us because I haven't been doing them. So many of you have been doing really, really successfully, leveraging like Reels ads, for example, some of the best performing ads that you can be doing right now on as far as, Facebook and Instagram, but short form video, taking short form clips, right? Like we're doing here with this podcast. You can watch say like a 2-minute clip on our YouTube channel, the Art of Online Business Clips channel, and get I'm going to use the word, my friend, nugget of information, of value in a 2-minute clip that you can be like, oh, boom, I can go do that right now. That is going to become that much more important, right? I've been reading recently where people think that in the not so distant future, Instagram, the feed will be, instead of, opening up Instagram, for example, and seeing the stories at the top and the feed below that the like stories and video will be the main view, right? I mean, they've been talking about this for a few years now, that it's becoming all video. And so if you're not doing video right now, it's something that if you're not comfortable with it, that you should be getting comfortable with. And I did an episode earlier this year, I think it was earlier this year, about getting more comfortable on video and how to go about doing that. So short form video, second thing. The third thing, community. And I don't mean the app. I mean community, of building community among real people. Apps like Circle, apps like 10xpro.io, which I talked quite a bit about in the last episode. This is the tool that we are using for all of our back end as far as order forms, landing pages, sales pages. We create funnels in there. It integrates seamlessly with like ConvertKit that we use. Has an affiliate center in there. We build it has all of our training courses and material in there. This is our solution that makes it super simple. One aspect, and you can build memberships in there. I don't think I mentioned that last episode. Build memberships in there, forums. They have what they call a social wall, so that you own the community rather than building something like in a Facebook group where Facebook owns that community. They can just decide, oh, I'm shutting that group down. There goes my community, right? Well, building your community on platforms, again, like Circle, like 10xpro.io. If you want to check it out, I am an affiliate for 10x Pro, rickmulready.com/10xpro. We have cut so many other tools to go all in on this, and we freaking love it. So if you want to check it out, go for it. So apps like these are making it very easy to own your community and create community, right? And when somebody goes to a tool like 10x Pro, for example, or Circle or what have you, rather than into, a group on a social platform, the intent is very different. This really came up with a mentor of mine, really good friend of mine in the last month or so, this whole concept of intent, right? So if we were to move a community off of a social platform, it's easier for people to jump into those communities because people are already there, but they're not there necessarily to go into your community. The intent that they have is to be using the social platform, and your community is just kind of like a side note, right? It's like a secondary thing. Rather, if somebody is going to a specific platform that you are using that is for your community, the intent is different. The intent is to go there to take part in your community. So it really becomes at that point less of a vanity number, if you will, and more about the quality of people that are in your community, right? I'm not saying like don't have big numbers in your community, because absolutely, but we have to remember the intent of people going to this type of community app and being able to be there with the intent of being there and taking part in the community. I don't think I finished my thought, by the way. On 10X Pro, they have something called the social wall, and it really mimics the experience of a Facebook group, but it is not on Facebook. It is, you're owning that community now, right? People are craving connection. I've been talking about this for pretty much all of 2021 here on the show. People are craving connection. They're craving authenticity. They're craving for people to empathize with them for where they are at. And they want to be surrounded by other people who are going through and working towards what they're working towards, like their common goals. People want that community. They want to be a part of something, especially with the pandemic the past couple of years. We've been, secluded basically, and we crave that connection. We crave that authenticity of other members, of people, of somebody like you. If you are leading a community, your authenticity, you're actually showing up in that community and being surrounded by others who are going through and going towards a common goal. So that's the third thing. Okay. My third thought, if you will, for 2022, community. And the fourth thing really kind of continues that conversation around community. It's, look, authenticity, be genuine, and be unapologetically you, and be real. You are going to turn off people. That's going to happen, and that's okay. You're going to attract the people that align with you as yourself, as the person that you are, what your values are. Somebody who doesn't align with my values, for example, isn't going to listen to the podcast for very long, isn't going to join Accelerator. That's totally cool. But the people who do, I'm going to attract those people. And I want the same thing for you. But that comes with you being authentic, you showing up genuinely, being genuine, and not being afraid of what that might cause, if you will. Because if you're not repelling people, frankly, you're doing something wrong, right? You want to be repelling people that don't align with you and then attracting people who do. So be unapologetically real and do things for the right reasons. Don't do things for, oh, I think that can make me an extra, $5,000 or whatever it might be. If that thing, if you will, whatever that is, doesn't align with your values. So authenticity, be genuine, and be unapologetically real. People, again, going back to community, as I talked about that earlier, are craving that. People really, really want that. And that, unfortunately, is really going to set you apart from other people. So that's the fourth thing. Okay, the fifth thing kind of continues this conversation around authenticity and, actually caring about your audience and your customers. And that is listening to your customers, listening to what their feedback is, and genuinely being interested in what they have to say. For so long, so many people, it wasn't this way. And I saw it a lot, unfortunately, in the first, I'd say early years of the business, and frankly not so distant past, unfortunately, is that, people put something out, whether it's a coaching program or a course or whatever it might be, a membership, and it's like, here it is, right? And if somebody like asks for something or gives feedback, that's seen as almost a negative thing. I look at it on the opposite end of the spectrum. When you are being true to wanting to serve your customers, listen to them, listen to their feedback, right? So, for example, we're always taking suggestions in our Accelerator coaching program. And as long as, and again, I want this for you too, as long as it aligns with your values and your vision for the business, listening to that feedback and implementing changes accordingly. Now, I'm not saying like do every single thing that somebody might, request, but too often people, course creators or coaches, like it's like, hey, this is the offer and that's it. And what I'm saying is it's okay. And I want to encourage you to be listening to your customers and hearing what their thoughts are, hearing what their feedback is. And if it does make sense to your values and the vision for your business and whatever that program is, implementing that feedback. Not only is it going to improve your program, but it really shows your customers that you actually, you give a that you value their feedback and you are here to serve them, right? So that is the fifth thing. Listening to your customers, implementing feedback as long as it aligns. Okay. Now, is it sixth thing? I think it's the sixth thing. I talked about this in the last episode. Segmentation. This has been, quote unquote, a thing that for the past few years, but I still don't see, and frankly, I'm raising my hand right now. I have not done a good enough job of this myself. And as I talked about in the last episode, that will be changing in 2022. The more that you can meet people where they are and have the right conversation with them for where they are and offer them the type of solution, whether it's a lead magnet, whether it's a simple email of encouragement, whether it's your offer, whatever it might be, resource, that's what this is about, right? Gone are the days, or they should be, of having one conversation to one audience, right? What I mean by that is you want to find out where are people at in their whatever your niche is, right? And let's just say you're in the gardening niche, right? Well, it's a very different conversation if somebody like myself who has never gardened versus somebody who has like an amazing vegetable garden in their backyard and they're looking for advanced gardening techniques or whatever, right? That's a very different conversation. Well, if you have one gardening conversation with me and that advanced person, that's not going to work, right? Because we need to be serving people where they are at and meeting them there. So the faster that you can segment people coming into your world, if you will, on your email list or what have you, and have a specific conversation with them based on that segmentation, your business will grow as a result because you're having the right conversation with the right person at the right time. Okay, the next thing, and some of you might be like, Rick, why are you just waiting right now to talk about this? Because I think all this stuff is going to figure itself out and we are going to adapt. And if you don't adapt, then it's not going to work for you, right? We need to be finding alternatives to be relying on third-party cookie data, pixel data, right? So we saw what happened at the end of Q1, April-ish timeframe of 2021, where, Apple's iOS 14.5 came out and basically ruined, on a far bigger level than anyone expected, the ability to tracking, privacy. And will Facebook figure something out? They need to, because their business is, their business is users, correct, right? Like without users, they don't have advertising. But as from a revenue perspective, it's advertising. And they need to figure it out. right? And so whether that's first party tracking, whether that is, we're starting to play around with lead ads, which have been around for years, which is that whole experience that looks like a standard, Facebook ad, but you enter, like they click the whatever the call to action button is, learn more, and it pops up the form, if you will, enter your name and email right there within the ad unit. Traditionally, we've seen lower costs, right? Lower cost per lead, but the quality of that lead is not very high because they click a button and auto populates their information that they have in Facebook. And generally that information is not always the most accurate, the best information. So with that said, and then also, Google 2023 with the whole, people call it like the cookie apocalypse or whatever. This is coming. This is a reality for us right now. So finding alternative ways to relying on the third-party cookie data. If you're running ads now on Facebook and Instagram, you really need to be using UTM codes to also track in Google Analytics. You need to be creating, and I've talked about it here in the podcast, you need to be creating an ads specific funnel in whatever, landing page tool software that you're using so that you can try and track as specifically as possible the data, not only in Facebook, because it's going to differ from what you see in your tool, but then also comparing it to analytics. So the more data that you can have, that you can be comparing things and trying to paint the picture of what's actually going on, the better, right? And if you think about it too, these platforms, a lot of these platforms are going to be looking at experimenting with more ways to keep people on the platforms, because when the more time people spend there, that's when these platforms like a Facebook, like an Instagram, for example, that will improve data because people will be taking actions within the platform, like checking out, for example, on Facebook or whatever, right? That's first party data because it's happening within the platform. So expect to see these platforms like really looking at different ways to keep us on these platforms more, right? And hopefully it's a good thing. And giving marketers and giving those of us who want to leverage advertising new opportunities to test and get some stronger data. The next thing for 2022 to be thinking about is broader targeting when you're targeting your Facebook and Instagram ads. Now, this is not something new. This is something that has been working the best pretty much since iOS rolled out their 14.5 that included the privacy updates and so forth. Broader targeting allows Facebook's algorithm, the AI, the artificial intelligence we were talking about earlier, it's way smarter than we are, right? And so, as it's always been throughout this year, for the most part, I don't see it really changing much in 2022 as far as targeting goes. I mean, Facebook just recently announced that they're doing away with a whole bunch of interests in, for interest targeting. So the broader the audience that you can go, the better. Allowing Facebook's algorithm to find the people that you want to be getting in front of, which means, again, we've talked about this a lot here in the show, that this is all about creative, meaning the ad format, the copy, the messaging that you're using to speak to your exact target audience, right? So bigger audiences, and then really, especially as you're scaling, after you've done your testing, when you're scaling, shooting for, I mean, literally you could be opening up to, all of US, for example. So all of US, whether, men and women, all of the US between a certain age range, and that's it. Or maybe it's, female, certain age range in the US, and that's it. And then you're letting your ads find the people, or speak to the people, I should say, but letting Facebook's artificial intelligence, the algorithm, if you will, find the people that are your people, the ones that you want to be attracting. Okay. So broader targeting, I don't see that going away. I think that's sort of the future of Facebook and Instagram ads. Of course, we will see things always change, but I don't see that specific strategy for targeting changing anytime soon. Okay. So broader targeting. The next thing thinking about is, and especially speaking of ads and how there's been such big changes in 2021, is the need for more organic traffic, different channels, right? So I've talked about how we are going to be growing my YouTube channel. So that is a long-term asset. I don't expect, this is not about short-term results. I'm building a long-term asset to be able to get in front of new people. So be thinking about different ways to be leveraging organic traffic, whether it's social media, whether it is, YouTube or podcast or what have you. So organic, and then also SEO. And it's kind of funny because it's like doing organic marketing, getting your brand and getting your awareness out there organically. That's the foundation, right? But so much has in the past has been about paid traffic, but so much that we talk about has been, paid traffic and ads and so forth, that we often forget about the organic side and the SEO side, when it is the foundation, right? And so the importance of doing things on your website with SEO in mind. And again, this is the long game. Organic, SEO, et cetera, are the long game. So this is not short-term overnight results, if you will. You got to be playing the long game. And so that's another thing that I'm thinking a lot more about, and we are coaching an accelerator, and I want you to be thinking about as well. How can you improve your organic strategy? How can you be creating content on your website, for example, that is SEO friendly, that again, it's long-term, but can be picked up, if you will, with higher rankings on Google. The next thing, and this is a big thing, and I have also been talking about this a lot over the past year or so, is audio. Podcasting. My friends, podcasting is not dead. I've had a lot of accelerators ask me this year, is it too late to start a podcast? Heck no, it is not. I mean, think about it. Like Amazon is getting into the podcasting game. They're developing a solution for that beyond things like Audible, right? They're going to have a podcast specific solution for podcasting. YouTube talked about it here. There is very, very strong rumor that YouTube will be rolling out some form of podcasting solution in 2022, right? Spotify is now the number one podcasting platform. My friends, audio is it is not too late to get into audio, get into podcasting, if that's of something of interest, right? If that's a strength of yours, absolutely be doubling down on that. Now, with that, on the other side of that, as I talked about in Wednesday's episode that I did on Year in Review, video podcasts also. So try not to overthink this, right? Like what I do. And granted, I have a nice camera and lens and so forth, but that's been over time. It's been almost 8 years. I flip this on. I use riverside.fm to record this. So I'm recording it. And what Riverside does is, and I don't have an affiliate link. I should have an affiliate link for them, but they split the audio and the video. So we have an audio file and a video file. My team goes in and we treat the audio file that if you're listening to the show, say on Spotify or Apple Podcasts right now, that's where that file is coming from. And then they take the video file and they clean that video file up. And then that's what goes on the full episode's YouTube channel. And then they make clips out of it. They take the highlights of like this episode here, for example, and then that goes on the clips channel. So this could be as simple as flipping on your camera and recording yourself, recording your podcast. Now, it is an adjustment, I will say. I've been podcasting now for 8 years, and it is very different when you turn the camera on. but you get used to it, right? It's just like anything else. It's an adjustment. But absolutely I recommend doing that, especially here as YouTube gets in more into the game of podcasting and so forth, video podcasts. Okay, 3 more. All right. Number 12. And this is something that's also not new, but I saw a lot of this year where people are not tracking these numbers. So data, data, data. Let the numbers tell the story of what's going on in your business and then leverage that data to make decisions. Okay. Remember, data is neutral. Data is completely neutral. It only means something based on the meaning that we give it. Okay. It's not amazing. It's not a failure, right? It's just data. So, a major piece of data that I saw a lot of people missing this year, especially if if you have a membership, right? You've got to know the lifetime customer value of your customers, especially if you got a membership, because when you know what your lifetime customer value is, now you have a benchmark. You know exactly what you could be spending to acquire a customer, because you then know what the quote unquote value of that customer, right? And then that sounds weird, I'm just talking from a financial perspective, what the value of that customer means to the business, right? From a financial perspective. Of course, we go way deeper than that, but you've got to know what that number is. So you've got to be tracking data. And if you haven't been tracking data in your business like this, then there's no better time to start than now. If you have been, amazing, make sure you continue to do that, and then you should be making decisions based on that data in your business. Okay. So again, this is nothing new. A lot of the things I'm sharing is nothing new, but yet I really see opportunities for people to be doing a better job in these areas. And when you focus on these things, your business will benefit from it in 2022. Okay. The second to last thing, and I did a whole episode about this and it ruffled a few feathers, less and less launching. I'm seeing a trend going on right now. So I said that I wouldn't be doing predictions or whatever, but I will say, just as I talked about in the episode I did, I don't know, a month or 2 months ago, about why launching is doing you and your potential customers more harm than good. Now, I clarified in that episode, I'm not talking about cohort style launches, meaning you have a group starting at a specific time and ending at a certain time. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about, hey, okay, I'm just going to do a launch and it's only open starting in whatever, June. And that's the only launch I'm doing, big launch, if you will, quote unquote, that I'm doing this year. And then you can't get in the program any other time of the year. Well, I'm seeing this more and more. Number one, people are tired of launching. They're tired of the roller coaster of revenue. They're tired of the roller coaster of energy that they have to exert, what the team goes through, all this. That's number one. And then number two, people's buying habits are different, right? Now, launching has its place. So like if it's a brand new program, for example, that's a different story, right? But I'm seeing less and less, fewer people wanting to go the big, live launch route, and go more so for, yeah, I'm going to do some promotions throughout the year that could be like mini launches, but then I'm going to be doing evergreen in the business throughout the year, so that if I launch in June and then somebody wants my program in February, they can get the program in February, right? So again, this is about serving our customers, our potential customers, where they're at and when they need it. Now, is there psychology and all this other stuff when it comes to doing a live launch and having sort of an artificial deadline, if you will? Sure. Again, just a caveat, I'm not talking about cohort style launching. Not talking about that. That absolutely. If you've got a group starting on a certain time and ending at a certain time altogether, absolutely you're going to want to be launching that. But what I'm talking about is just randomly doing or planning. All right, I'm going to do 2 launches this year, and that's the only time I'm selling this program. I see less and less people wanting to do that. Very successful businesses, by the way. I see fewer people that people are just over it, right? And I've seen that time and time again throughout the year. We haven't done a launch in almost a full year, and super, super glad. Could we do one, coming up? Absolutely, we could do it. But do I want to be doing that right now? I don't. And so we're seeing much better success with the promotions, maybe mini launches, if you will, throughout the year, combined with evergreen sales of your offer. Again, go back and listen to that episode that I was just talking about, why launching is doing you and your potential customers more harm than good. And then finally, and I've talked a lot about it between on the last episode where I gave you the review of 2021 for our business, simplification. The simpler that you can make your business, my friend, the more easily you are going to be able to grow and scale. And so when I say simplification, this runs throughout the business. This is from your offer perspective. This is having a marketing system, a sales system, a fulfillment system, right? Having a very simplified team to be able to support the kind of business that you want to have. This is the operation side, the back end of your business, having SOPs, the tools that you use. I've been talking about 10xpro.io. Like, I've been able to eliminate 3 major tools in our business, saving a ton of money by going to a better, in my opinion, piece of software in 10xpro.io. And it does things that you can't find in other platforms. And so that's just one area where we've simplified the business. Again, simplification scales. How can be looking at your business? How can you simplify your business? How can you make it? How can you remove all of the spider web of things, for example, that are connecting different parts of the business? And how can you streamline? And I've done episodes here this year too, having a marketing system, meaning how do you attract people to your business? Having a sales system, how do you sell your offer or offers? And then a fulfillment system. How do you fulfill on your offer or offers? When you have those 3 systems down, that is an amazing foundation of a simplified business. Always be looking at your business. Like, one exercise I gave our accelerators at the end of this year is like, if you're going into 2022, what would it look like for you to blow up your business? What would it look like to take the business that you have right now, right? It's not like you're starting from like brand new. You've never had a business before. Take your business right now. What would you remove? What would you keep? What would you do more of? What would you do less of? That sort of thing. And doing that exercise, taking the time to think through that, can be invaluable. And I'm doing that myself for our business. Again, all through the lens of simplicity, because that's what we're all about. Simplicity is what's going to allow you to increase your profit, increase your impact, and do those things with less hustle. All right, my friends, there you have it for Accelerator. Again, if you are an established online course creator or an online coach, established meaning you're doing minimum 100K a year from your online business and you're looking to grow, but you're feeling overwhelmed, you're likely stuck, you're not really sure what next steps to be taking to be able to increase your profit, increase your impact with less hustle, then I want to invite you to apply. It's application only to our Accelerator coaching program. Go to rickmulready.com/accelerator. All right, my friend. Thank you, as always, for listening today. Super appreciate you. Be well. Happy New Year again. And I'll talk to you soon.